All right, you must listen to today's podcast. It's going to be a good one.
You got to. Just stick around, folks. You don't want to miss this.
We're going to talk about the must experiences you need to have as an RVer, so stay tuned.
Because here we go.
This is RV Destinations Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. I am Randy Beheimer, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Caly Beheimer, who is the editor-in-chief of RV Destinations Magazine.
I am.
And we are very excited to be with you. We are alone today. We had to have a podcast reschedule. So we're going to throw out these fun podcasts. Not that our other ones aren't fun, but these fun podcasts when we have somebody no-show.
When somebody bails on us.
Bails on us. Because we every time we set up all this podcast gear in our RV, it takes a lot of time. It takes an hour and a half to set up, 20, 30 minutes to break down, recording them all. It's a big hassle. So we want to make sure we're at least giving content or recording 3 or 4 shows. But anyway, now you've heard us
whine.
Yeah, whine. Whatever. Can
Moan,
I say that
complain.
on YouTube? I don't know.
I don't know. Beep. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, maybe Bo, you might want to put a beep in there. But anyway, today we were taking the dog for a walk a couple weeks ago. We're like, you know what we need to do? We've had all these amazing experiences. So we've been RVing for 14 years. Most of you know that, but for the new listeners, you don't. And we're like, we've had some pretty incredible experiences. And this is not an all-inclusive list, but we come up with a list of things that we absolutely think you should experience. Now, we've touched on some of these in the other shows, so that the longtime listeners, please bear with us on some of these. I know they're repeats, but they made the list. So these are all going to be top experiences, not necessarily destinations, but top things you need to do as your RV roams around the U.S., right, baby?
Yeah, absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree.
And I literally, as I was walking, I wrote I wrote them all down as we were walking in my notes section on my iPhone. So I'm going to go right off my iPhone, so we're that prepared for you. But we're going to talk basically from the heart, and I think each and every one of you should do some of these different things. Are you ready?
I am ready. Sorry, I was changing the screensaver settings on my computer for our other business. The powers that be required it had to be a minute or less. Do you know how short a minute is when you look away from your computer and then look back and it's like boom? So I had to change the settings because it's annoying me.
All right. They don't care. They want to jump in and hear the good stuff.
I know. They would. That was the good stuff. It was amazing stuff.
All right, here we go. Okay. So Caly doesn't know. Yeah, well, she was there. The list. She doesn't have the list, so I'm going to be reading it.
But I was there.
She was there when we put these together. So the first one's something we've done a couple times, and we just recently did that, and that is have lunch at Latitudes on Sunset Key at sunset, not sunrise.
So not lunch. We said have lunch, but we did have lunch.
Dinner,
and
lunch
then
or
we
dinner.
have dinner.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's dinner time at 6:00 when the sun sets. So, in the winter
depending
time.
on the time of year.
So yeah, we just recently done this, and so it's fresh in our memory. So Sunset Key is right off of Key West, and there is a restaurant there called Latitudes. And Latitudes is a very busy restaurant, especially at sunset. So
yes.
You've heard about the sunset you get at Mallory Square. We even get a better one at Latitudes while you're eating food. And so it's amazing. I will warn you that you need to book it. If you want to go at dinner time with the sunset, you need to book it 3-4 months in advance at least.
At least.
They'll take reservations up to a year in advance, I believe, is what they told us. But anyway, so the food was amazing. The hues of the sunset are just unreal. Spectacular.
And then you're sitting outside. If you're able, you can't request a table. So they have indoor tables, they have outdoor tables. Even though the indoor tables, all of the doors are open, so you can kind of the indoor-outdoor experience. We were blessed. We got an outdoor table, and we were able to see a lot of that sunset. And it's just breathtaking. It's absolutely breathtaking. And the whole experience, because our reservation was at 5:45, which means you show up at their pier a little bit before that, because at 5:45 is when the boat takes you over to the island. So it's neat. So you hop on their little taxi boat. They run you over to the island really quick, and then you get off and go to dinner right away and just have that incredible experience. I will let you know that if whatever time your reservation is for, that is when they pick you up from the boat, and they will not let you get over there any earlier because they don't want to overcrowd the restaurant and the island and all of that.
And I think Caly said it, but they do pick up there in Key West. So this is obviously if you're coming to Key West. Now, if you can't make it to Latitudes or you can't get reservations, definitely check out Mallory Square for a sunset. That's a beautiful sunset too. They've got kind of a little bit of a festival feel there.
Yeah.
So they'll have a bunch of vendors out. You can get your face painted, get, paintings and all these other things that you might want to pick up. So that's a fun. I think we've only done that once or twice because it's more of a touristy thing, but you do get some beautiful sunsets. So definitely check that out. So moving on to the next one. We've talked about this before. This is hands down. There's two things on here, and they ironically are back to back because as I was writing them, they were coming to my mind quickly. But these are probably my two favorite things I've done while RVing. And the next one is the Durango Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad.
Yes.
And we've talked about this on the show before, but this is just a spiritual experience. It really is. The history behind it, the beauty of taking this train. I hear you can do it in the wintertime. We've not done it in the wintertime. We've done it in the fall and summer, I think, or something like that. But it's absolutely gorgeous. So you start out in Durango and you can go all the way up to Silverton. So that's the long one. They do have a shorter route where you can pick up the train. I can't remember that depot.
I can't remember it's like kind of half-ish
anyway,
way.
It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Take the whole day and go from Durango all the way up to Silverton. Silverton's a beautiful little town. It's an old West town. There's a lot of cool restaurants, a lot of cool bars, a lot of cool things. But they go up there for what do you think? Was it about an hour?
I think we get about an hour because we
Maybe
had
2
enough
hours.
time. I think because we had enough time to get lunch, explore the town, and get back to the train.
Right. But do that if you're anywhere near Durango. Do it. It's absolutely breathtaking.
It is the coolest thing.
And then we also, which I don't think this is even on the list, we might as well say it right here, do the $1 Million Highway. You're right there at the base. So if you're in Durango, you're at the base. Well, technically, the $1 Million Highway, I think technically doesn't start until Silverton, and it goes up to Ouray. But you're right there. So if you're in the area, make sure you do that too. That didn't make the list, which is kind of strange.
No, because we had talked about it. We've talked about it so many times.
We have.
We've kind of beat that horse. And then if you want to read about all of Durango, but even more detail of the Durango Silverton train, that's in issue 19. And that was just a stunning cover. But it's such an incredible experience. It really, really is. It's a magical, magical experience to be on that train.
Yes, it is. Okay, so the next one is not going to be for everybody, but this was really another one of those moments where you're like, I'm glad to be alive. And that is hiking Angel's Landing.
Oh, yes.
We've talked about this on the show before, too. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Angel's Landing, if you've not done it, it is absolutely gorgeous. Now, you have to be in good shape.
Yes.
You have to not be afraid of heights.
Yes.
Or at least can overcome your fear of heights. Because you are climbing up and you've got, I think it's 1,000-foot drop on one side and 800-foot drop on the other side. And you might have a narrow pathway there's one point where it's about maybe 3 feet wide. You're holding on to chains as you're pulling yourself up.
But that's it. It's a little bit broader than literally like 2 to 3 feet. And it literally drops off both sides. And that was the point for me that I started on the way down was panicking because you have to step out kind of into space as you let go of one chain before you can grab the other down onto this little tiny patch of land that falls off on either side hundreds and hundreds of feet down. And that's where I was like, I don't think I can do this.
You're literally hiking up the spine of this mountain. And like I said, the national parks put in, I should say
Why am I blanking on the national park that it's in? My brain, I'm like sitting here like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Right? I know. It's
you just go, my gosh.
Zion
National Park.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what park is this in?
I guess we should say that for somebody that has no idea where Angel's Landing is.
Right.
Angel's Landing is like the top hike in Zion, or one of them. There's a couple of them that are really popular. The Narrows is another one, and that's a cool experience, but nothing like Angel's Landing. When you get on top of that and you can overlook the whole valley, just absolutely incredible. So
it is.
You do need you need to get a permit. There's some things, but the permits are pretty easy to get to. So definitely look into all that. We're not here to talk about how you get to it. We're just going to tell you need to do that if you physically can.
Yeah.
And I should say before we get off this subject, Caly is not big on heights. She does not. she's not terrified of heights, but she was very skeptical about this hike. And I told her, I'm like, baby, if there's any point you don't want to go, you can turn around. I'm going to keep going up because this has been a dream of mine for many, many years. And you know what? She was a beast. She climbed right up to the top. She pretty much just looked at her feet the whole time and didn't look out. I'm out there with my phone taking pictures.
I
couldn't
even
beautiful.
look at Randy because I literally just stared at my feet. Sorry, I'm moving from my dog here. Issue 18, we write about this when we talk about Zion and Bryce. And there's a picture in the article that you can see in one of these little skinny sections that I'm hanging on to 2 chains, and we're walking up the spine, and it kind of looks like you're walking up into like you look at the picture like, where do you guys go after this point? It keeps going.
We'll make sure to give some pictures, and we even have some videos of it put here on YouTube. So if you're listening to the audio podcast, you might want to jump over. Okay, so the next one is one we've talked about briefly before, and it's sunrise over Monument Valley. This is just breathtaking. I've got some beautiful pictures. I'll make sure we get them so we can put them up here. It's breathtaking. It's cold.
Yes.
It's cold as can be, but because you get there, you arrive right at the visitor center there right before the sun comes up. It's cold, and then that sun comes up over the not the buttes. What do they call it? The mittens.
The mittens.
And it's just breathtaking. I can't describe it any other way. I mean, it's just so it's peaceful.
Yes.
When I was there, the last time I was there was only about 4 photographers, which is unusual because I've done it a couple times, but the last time there was only about 4 photographers, which is amazing because normally you have the whole bank of 20 or 30 photographers. So go experience it. It's just absolutely incredible. It's worth getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning to get over there and get your camera on a tripod and take the most amazing.
Yeah.
You know, even if you just go experience it, you don't even have to take your camera. Just go over there and sit and watch it come up. It's incredible. And you went with me on one of them.
I did it once because you told me I'm not a morning person. I'm sure most of you know that. I not a morning person. Like I am not a human until about now, and it's 11:40 a.m. I'm a nighttime person. So sunsets, spectacular. That's my world. Sunrises, not so much. But I did this one time, and it was beautiful. Absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. In fact, I was just looking at some of the pictures that I had taken just with my phone today, and how beautiful it is. So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend it.
All right, so moving on. This is going to be an oddball for some people, but we just had such an amazing experience in the history and everything, and that is visit the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Now it's not just visiting the birdcage itself, because what they do is when you go in, they let you in right in the beginning. They tell you a little bit about the history, and then that's it. If you don't pay for the tour, you don't get back behind the curtain,
the magic curtain. Do the tour.
The tour.
We had been to Tombstone before. We did the little front section, and we were like, nah, we're not going to do the tour. And then we did the tour with Nova, who is there with the tourism board there in Tombstone, which was incredible because she used to actually be one of the tour guides for Birdcage Theater. So it was amazing. But the amount of history that is in this tiny little theater is unreal. And not only that, for me, it was how small everything was, because back then, everybody was a lot smaller because we didn't have the amount of food that we have today. So we weren't as tall. And so everything is just like, you're like, how did this many people fit into this tiny little space? But it's incredible. And they have so many of the original things. There's bullet holes everywhere. I mean, it's incredible. It's such a neat experience.
And I don't know, they don't normally give a tour guide, do they?
Maybe they don't.
We had the benefit of having, as Caly said, the tourism bureau lady.
Yeah.
Nova was her name, and she used to do the tours in there. So if you can get a guided tour, because they can tell you a little bit and they can paint the scene, and that was really magic, because you go back there and you're going to see, and it's cool to look at. I don't want to say it's not cool to look at, but it's even more cool to hear the stories and all that. So. Birdcage Theater, definitely do that if you're anywhere near Tombstone or you're visiting Tombstone. Just obviously do it. So
and go to the basement.
So the next one is kind of a destination. It's generic, but this had to make the list, and that is visit Yellowstone.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think we need to talk much about it, because everybody out there, I'm sure, checkbox. If you haven't been there, Yellowstone is probably my favorite area in the entire United States. I mean, it's otherworldly. It's beautiful. The mud pots, the geysers, all the different things.
Just all of those geothermal features all in one little area. In fact, I went to Randy last year. Can't believe we're saying that already. Last year, and I was like, I really feel like that we need to have like my mom and stepdad, aunts and uncles, because I have a very, very tiny family. I'm like, feel like we need to have a family trip out there. Like they need to experience this. Because most of my family now is in their 70s. And I'm like, they have to see Yellowstone. And we've been, with you, I think I've been 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I think I've been 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And we're even going back this year.
Back.
So
yeah,
it's just so incredible. And go see, you're going to be dealing with 10,000 of your favorite
tourists.
friends in every single location. They bus them in with buses, and it gets annoying to me, and I hate it, but you've got to deal with it. Most of the time you can pull up and have a short walk, and then you can see it. But, what I encourage you to do is go out and see, like, Lower Falls at night or in the evening. When the tourism dies down, about 6 o'clock, I think is when it was. Everybody goes back to, their hotel or RV or what have you and goes to dinner. Yellowstone starts getting a little bit more quiet. Venture out in those evening or very morning hours. If you're a photographer, the beauty of getting out there first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Some of the best pictures I've ever taken have been 6, 7 o'clock in the morning when nobody's out there. So encourage you to get out there. We're not going to talk more about Yellowstone. There's just so much to see there.
And we did a whole podcast on Yellowstone, so you can check out that podcast as well.
With Ranger Rick, I think. Or
one of the Rangers. We have been using snap pads on our Class A motorhome for years and absolutely love them. They're a stabilizer pad that goes on the bottom of our leveling jacks to really provide a good, solid surface for our RV to sit on. But what a lot of folks don't know is that Snap Pad also offers snap jacks, which are specifically designed for scissor jack stabilizers that are found on fifth wheels, travel trailers, or really any towable with scissor jacks. They come in either a 2-pack or 4-pack combination and include all of the hardware and accessories you need for an easy installation. Get out to rvsnappad.com and get your own set of snap jacks for your RV today. Use the code RVD10, RVD10 to save 10% off of any of the SnapPad products.
Anyway, so the next one is something that I didn't do. I don't know why I didn't do it, but that's swim with the manatees. You can do this in several places, but we did it in Crystal River. Caly did it in Crystal River. I think it was slightly cold, and I just didn't feel like putting on a wetsuit. I just figured I'd take pictures from above because we were actually doing an article for the magazine. And so I decided to let her do it and take a picture. Well, the problem was I couldn't see her. She was underwater the whole time. But why don't you tell them about that experience?
Oh, my gosh. It was amazing. So I want to preface this with when you swim with the manatees, you are in the water with them. You're not allowed to touch them. You cannot feed them. If they come up to you and you reach out, that is like a huge no-no. You are basically floating in the water with the manatee. And if they come up and bump into you, totally fine, because I had that happen to me. You just cannot actively reach out and touch them. But it was such an otherworldly experience. Like we were back at was it Three Sisters?
We're going to talk about that one.
No. The name of the spring that they were at over there in Crystal River.
Oh, I don't remember.
Anyway, there's a natural spring. We'll get that information for you. And it was in the winter, and all the manatees are coming into this area. This is kind of where they hang out because of the temperature of the water. And it was incredible. And I'm just floating in the water, and all of a sudden this manatee face would materialize in front of me, inches away, and you just want to scream and you can't. You've got your little snorkel on and you want to touch them and you can't. And it would just like come up and then slowly materialize away. I had some that would come up and bump into my stomach from underneath of me. It was absolutely incredible. So incredible.
And while she was underwater, I was in the boat and I was looking out, and there was just so many manatees. You can see them from above on the boat. And so very, very cool experience. Like I said, we did it in Crystal River. I think there are several places you can do it. Crystal River is, I think, well known for it because there are just so many. And I think in the towards the wintertime, I think they come in from the ocean to the warmer waters. But
and the place we did it with issue 20, you can read about it there in issue 20, and it is a Harvest Host location as well.
Yep. Oh, that's right. We did stay there with a Harvest Host, didn't we?
Yep.
All right. So the next one, this is a very cool. Well, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead of myself. So the next one is another sunrise, and that is in the Grand Tetons.
And so you did this, I did not.
I did this. I was looking for a cover shot for the magazine, and the problem was it was cold and overcast and snowing every single day. I had one day left to get the cover shot, and I kept going down to this photo point, well-known photo point. It's called Schwabacher's Landing. Schwabacher, so Schwabacher Landing. And so the last day I finally got a shot. It wasn't the perfect shot, but I had to get what I could get because we were leaving the next day. And that goes all the way back to issue 2, our very second issue. But it absolutely beautiful. The way the sun comes up, and you've got a river there. See, there's a river. I'm trying to look here to see.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure it's a river, but a lot of times you'll get the beavers that dam up the water there. And so if you get the right morning, the water will be so mirror-like and so still that you can get the Mount Moran, I think it's Mount Moran, Moran, yes, in the Grand Teton Range reflecting out of that water. And that was the shot I was trying to get. And I got a little bit of it. It's just it was still there was some clouds and right. It wasn't a perfect shot. So
and I think it's Oxbow Bend.
That's a different one. That's a completely different
sorry.
one. So you're going to get a much better sunrise over Schwabacher Landing. Now Oxbow Bend is a beautiful place too. You can get a reflection of the Mount Moran too in that. But if you're doing a sunrise, do it at Schwabacher Landing. Again, when I went out there, it was me and one other guy, and that was it. I mean, there was nobody else out there. So definitely check that out. Now, moving on. So the next one is camp down in Palo Duro Canyon.
Yeah.
This was surprisingly amazing. And Palo Duro Canyon's in Texas. It's south of Amarillo, for those that don't know. And you wouldn't think, but the second largest canyon in the U.S. is right there south of Amarillo. But why don't you tell them about this, babe?
So for me, it was such an incredible experience because you're going already. The area that Palo Duro Canyon is in is out aside of the city, so it's very, very quiet. And then you go down into this valley. The campgrounds down there are very, very nice, and a lot of the sites are kind of spread out. We were there at a time of year where it was a little quiet also, and the nights got down to probably in the 40s and even in the 30s.
Froze our pipe that one night.
So it froze our pipe. So it was a little cold. So it was that time of year. But we sat outside one night and we had our fire pit going and some adult beverages, and we're sitting out there, watched the sunset, and then the coyotes started calling. And that for me was like, oh my goodness. I don't know. We sat out there for an hour just listening to coyotes from this side of the canyon calling over to the coyotes over here. And you could just hear them yipping and yelping. And it was just such an incredible experience to be down in there at that time, listening to that and witnessing that.
So imagine if you could, I know you can't, but imagine that you could take your RV down into Grand Canyon. Now, Grand Canyon's bigger. Right. But that's kind of the experience. So all around you, you're in a fishbowl basically, and you can see the mountains. Well, I don't think they'd be considered a mountain at that point, but you're down in the the valley there, looking up, and just a very peaceful. Like how I said, it was kind of chilly that night. We were having a fire, and just listening to the coyotes call was just amazing. The drive down in an RV is a little sketchy, but we made it in a 40-foot motorhome. You can make it too. I would have no problem taking our 45 down there. The roads are in good condition. There's just a couple of turns. So the next thing is see the sunset in La Push, Washington. And we're actually headed out there this year too after we leave. Actually, before we get to Yellowstone, we're going to be going out to La Push. There's a campground right there on the Indian Reservation that is just absolutely stunning. But you're sitting there looking at the sea stack. But anyway, at La Push, they have Beach 1, Beach 2, Beach 3, something like that.
I think really fancy, literally.
I think it was Beach 3 that we went to. You've got a sea stack with like a hole in the sea stack for, I'm not a geologist, I don't know the proper term, but there's this hole that the ocean is carved out. And you can actually get in a position where the sun kind of goes through that hole, and you could take that shot. We actually took Caly out there in a dress and took some shots of her. And if I can find them, I'll make sure we post them up here. But anyway, La Push is amazing. Think of all the sea stacks. Think about Goonies.
Yes.
At the end of Goonies.
Goonies never say die.
That's kind of what it's like. Now, it wasn't shot there. That was shot in Astoria. But
it was, but
anyway, so absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And I looked it up. It is beaches 1, 2, and 3.
And I think it was 3 that we went to, but all of them I think have unique feels to them. But I think it was beach 3 that we went to.
Yeah.
The next one is one that might not have been on your radar, and that is do a bayou boat tour in Louisiana.
Yeah.
You want to take that, babe?
Yeah. So we did this in Louisiana over the summer, and because I said I wanted to see the bayou. I've seen the swamp, which was so fascinating to me because it's not at all what I expected. And then we did the bayou, which again was not at all what I expected. And it was so beautiful, so peaceful. And it's so expansive. And we did not an airboat tour, but like a flatboat tour out on the bayou. And then what I really loved about it is, I doused myself in bug spray, convinced that there was just going to be a mass of mosquitoes. There were no mosquitoes, and that's because of the plants and trees that grow there are an automatic repellent. And I'm like, who knew? Like, you don't think about being in the bayou of Louisiana and not having to worry about mosquitoes, but sure enough. But it was otherworldly. It was beautiful. The birds that we saw, alligator?
Yeah, the alligator. Remember, there was the mother alligator protecting her baby, started hissing at us.
And
that was I've never had an alligator hiss at me, so that was unique. We've been to the alligator farm out in St. Augustine, and that's pretty cool. But I mean, he pulled up that boat. I mean, I was hanging over the front. He was literally a foot, maybe 2 feet,
and
from my face.
Her nest, like her big nest, was like right there, like kind of in the base of these trees, and she was in the water, and then she kind of came up out of the water and started hissing at us, and I was like, oh good Lord, okay, I'm just gonna stay right here.
Stranger danger.
So it was just it was an incredible experience. And is that I-10 that runs there at the bottom of
I think so, yeah.
So that massively long never-ending bridge on I-10, if you've ever driven that stretch through Louisiana, that goes across a lot of the bayou, and that's the different areas that you can explore and do a tour down there, and it's just so worth it. Worth it.
We scheduled we had to drive. We were in Lafayette, and we scheduled it, and I think it was roughly maybe 30-40 minute drive from Lafayette. So you're pretty close. If you're staying in Lafayette, you could probably get one in New Orleans as well, but definitely consider it. And our last one, and these were in no particular order, folks. This is just us rattling off as we're walking our dogs and putting it in the notes, but the last one is, and this was a surprise thing. We talked about this briefly in one podcast, but that is Canoe the Three Sisters Swamp in North Carolina. Now, Caly started booking this. I'm like, I don't want to canoe, because it was going to be like 12 miles or something like that.
It was 12 miles.
I'm imagining paddling upstream for 12 miles, and then we read on the website, it says, no, you pretty much just float downstream. There's really very little paddling. I'm like, all right.
But it was 8 hours. I mean, we were gone for 8 hours.
I did several years ago, I did many triathlons where they substitute the swimming. So a triathlon is running, biking, and swimming. Well, there was one in Cincinnati. I don't think they do it anymore, where it was running, biking, and canoeing. And so I did a 5-mile canoe every time I did this, and it was a pain because I'm like, the whole time we're full force for an hour, and and that was only 5 miles. So she's saying she wanted to canoe 12 miles. I'm like, I don't want to do it because I know I'm going to be the one moving us.
He complained and complained and complained and complained.
I fought, and I'm like, all right, let's just do it. And so I did it, and I had an amazing time. First of all, it was all downriver, so we were able to float most of the time. I mean, we just used the sticks to steer, and once in a great while we'd have to paddle, but most part we didn't paddle much.
No, and he did say it depends on the time of year. We were blessed. The time of year that we hit, they had recently had rain, so the water was very active, so we didn't have to do a lot of paddling. He said, depending on the time of year, if you go in a different time and there's not a lot of rain, you're going to have to paddle a lot more. But what I loved about this is you are in the swamp. So you're going down the main river, which I think was the Black River, because it looks very black. The water does. And then all of a sudden he'd be like, oh, here's a trail. And I'm looking over, I'm like, what is he talking about? You can't see anything.
Yeah.
And he would take us back through all these cypresses, these massive cypresses, and just take us back in through the swamp. We got to see cypress trees that were upwards of 2,000 years old. It was incredible. Trees that no one else is going to be able to see. You can't get to them unless you go with somebody that knows exactly where these are.
Well, you couldn't even get to them in a boat.
No,
I mean, you had to use a
can't.
canoe because you're
No,
going in.
we had a kayak.
Or a kayak, yeah. I mean, a canoe could still get in there, but yeah, you can't go back there with a boat in a lot of these places that you go on this tour. And do you remember the name of the company? Because he was so good.
He was, and I'm looking for it, and
can't find it.
I can't find it.
All right, well, if we can find it, we'll put it in the notes section of the podcast.
Yeah, because at issue 13, we talked about Wilmington, North Carolina, and I know I wrote an article specifically for this tour because it was so incredible. It was just, again, like the swamp, nothing, or like the bayou, nothing like I expected. When I think swamp, I think like dirty, nasty, mushy, rotted, and it's so far from that. It was just beautiful cypress trees that were thousands, literally thousands and thousands of years old. And you're in the middle of nowhere. This is like no Instagrammers are getting here. No tourists are getting here. It is you and your guide in places that are completely untouched.
Only RV Destination will get you there.
That's right. We're going to get you there.
Take pictures and put it in the magazine.
Right.
So that's our list. And like I said, that's not all inclusive. These are just things that we rattled off that we've experienced over the past, really, that's been about past 5-6 years. We've done most of those.
Yeah.
But, write in, let us know if there's anything that you've done that you think should be included in the list. We'll try to do more of these every few years. But anyway, we'd like to thank everybody for coming out. You want to take us out, babe?
Yeah. So thank you all out there for joining us in here today and listening to us talk about some of our favorite things that we think you should check out also if you haven't already. And whether you're joining us on your audio side of our podcast, wherever you listen to our audio podcast or any audio podcast, or you're joining us on our YouTube channel, thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you are always notified on up-to-date content as we put that out. Be sure to check out our website, rvdestinationsmagazine.com. We have a ton of great resources out there, a lot of great free, FREE, travel information. And we are working very diligently still behind the scenes, and hopefully soon we'll be able to get something out there that involves our website that is going to be mind-blowing amazing. So be patient with us. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you all. We appreciate you.
Safe travels.
Safe travels, y'all.